Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Warrior Mindset and Motivation Podcast. I am your host, retired Army Sergeant First Class Eric Castillo, and life coach at Zimi Wellness Center and Indigenous Sovereignty. So today we have a special person here. It's an interesting story. A guy referred to him by a friend of his, and then a person I who had on before, veteran rapper Soldier Hard Jeff Barrios. Um, he told me I said check him out and check his story. And if you see by the caption I left, like in the post that I made, it is something like I wouldn't even know what to do if I was in that situation. Just to like, can you imagine people like driving or trying to drive, and then when they go to like pull you over, you don't pop up in the system. They go to fingerprint you, you're not there. Can you imagine just the shitstorm that comes with that? Like it's freaking crazy. His name's Carmelo Rodriguez, and he's got a lot of things going on. He's got books, he's in some films, and his story is something. Let me tell you, it is we're changing up the template of the show today because this is more of a getting his story out there. And I do that for everyone, but this one here is a particular where we'll talk about the service and transitions, yes, but we're going to hit on the piece to where the government actually said he was dead. And well, as you see, he's not dead. We're looking at him unless they've really perfected cloning and we don't know about it. But he's right here. His name's Carmelo. So, hey, brother, if you want to go ahead and let everyone know a little bit about yourself, and then just run right into your story, man. And if there's any questions that pop up, I'll pop up in there. But this is here for you, man, to get your story so people can know what's going on, the challenges you faced, and then how you had to get through them. Because this right here is like the epitome of having a warrior mentality on how to just keep pushing through, because if you don't, then you're just being there, and you're just laying there and you're not doing anything. So this here is like, this embodies that warrior driven mentality and actually having to be self-motivated to become alive again. So so go ahead, man. Go ahead and kick it off.
All right. So, like I said, like he said, my name is Carmelo Rodriguez. Um, I spent about 5 years in the military, active duty, scout, recon. From there, I deployed. I did a little deployment or whatever to Iraq. I got injured in the process, and I ended up on a medical retirement. So it was a Code 4 injury, and from there, I transitioned. I got out. I I got picked up for a scholarship at Penn State University, and I was like, cool, this is dope. I'm going for the ride. I'm gonna take this journey. Little did I know, it was a lot harder to make that move to transition out. Just because I'm a grown ass man. I got to deal with these 18-year-olds that have no idea what war looks like, what military looks like, what discipline looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just wild. It was a shocker for me, and that was hard because I want to put hands on everybody, hands and feet, and I was okay with that. I decided to transfer to another school, Berkeley College. I'm gonna give a shout out because the support and love that they gave me was insane. They had a huge veteran community, and that's what attracted me to them. I ended up graduating with my bachelor's degrees and master's degree with Berkeley. But while I was doing that, while I was in my master's program in 2016, I was mistakenly declared deceased by the VA. I thought it was a freaking joke, So I initially got a letter to the estate of, and I started laughing. I was like, this is bogus, whatever. Yeah, and it was like it shows its sympathies or whatever. I was like, this is bogus,
Like,
whatever.
you have a
Yeah,
DD-214. How does that even
yeah.
work? Like,
And I'm like, what the hell? And then at the time, I was working I was working in the prison system. So I'm not gonna get into that, but there was a riot that was happening at the time. So it was a complete lockdown, and you can't bring any kind of contact information with you while you're dealing with that. So everybody gets their lockers or whatever. You put your phones in your lockers. After the lockdown, I got like, I don't know, like 100 missed calls, like, I don't know, like 200, 300 text messages. Where are you? What's going on? You know? And it was just friends, family, literally from like all over the world. And they were like, this can't be true. How is this happening? And all this other stuff, just, you know, and I'm like, what the hell? So I start calling these people. I'm like, yo, what's going on? And they're like, we got a notice. And I'm like, what the hell notice? What the hell's going on? So I made it home that day, and you know, surfing through my mail or whatever, I got a check, a burial allowance check. And I was like, what the heck? I was like, this is weird. So I called the VA and I'm like, hey, you know, after sitting on the phone for like 40 minutes or an hour just to get a representative that's like, hey, can you confirm? And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, hey, so this is what I got. And the representative was like, can I call you back? And I'm like, yo, I just waited on the phone for like an hour just so you can get on the phone and tell me you're gonna call me back eventually, you know? So I was like, all right, cool. And I kind of like, I brushed it off, you know, and then um my my girl at the time, she was a first sergeant in the Air Force. And I'm like, hey, so this is what I got going on. And she was in training. So she really didn't have any clue. So I was like, hey, this is what I got going on. And she was like, you're lying. And I'm like, no, this is real deal. And she was like, you better get on that phone and you better make it happen. And I'm like, it's not that serious. She was like, it is that serious. And I'm like, here we go, here we go. So I was like, yeah, I get to it. And then I got notification, or then I got reached out by an attorney from the VA, and they were like, hey, we need to confirm. And I'm like, yeah, this is me, goddammit. So they were like, you got to go to the regional office with whatever paperwork. And I'm like, cool, whatever. So I went the next day, or I was going the next day, and I ran through my mail real quick. Boom, I got another letter stating that all of my benefits are going to be cut at, you know, this specific timeline because I am no longer alive. So it was to the estate of, once again. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, I'm surfing. I pushed that to the side with the other three now. Now it's three letters. And then I'm still surfing. Boom, I get another check from the VA. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll open it up. And I'm like, money, money. I open it up. This is my last check. This is my last benefits check. And I was like, and it says it on there, final benefits check. And I was like, oh shit. Oh shit.
Yeah, the reality set in right there.
And then I ran through my first letter. I mean, I ran through the letter that they sent me again. And then they gave on the bottom, it says all of your medical benefits will be cut, all of your, you know, whatever benefits will be cut. And I'm like, holy crap, now this is bad. Because, you know, because of my injury while I was deployed, I take medicine for the rest of my life. I will have to take this medicine every day. It's breathing medicine, so it controls, you know, my lungs or whatever. So I'm like, crap. So now I'm rushing over to the regional office, and they're like, you're lying. And I'm like, look. And then I'm like, look, man, this is not no joke or whatever. And they're like, give me the paperwork. And I'm giving them the paperwork, and the clerk is just looking at me like I'm crazy. And they're like, we need ID. And I give them ID. We need another form. And I'm just like dropping them. And I'm like, dude, this is all the IDs that I have in my wallet right now. And they're like, do you have your DD-214? I was like, yo, I gave you everything.
Yeah.
You know? And they're like, we gotta get our supervisor involved. And the supervisor was like looking at me, looking at other stuff, looking at me, looking at other stuff, and was like, you gotta write on official documents that this is you, this is what's going on. And I'm like, all right, cool. Now what? I'm like, oh, 2 weeks. You're clear. You're good to go. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm good. You know, I think I had like about a week left of my medicine left. So I'm like, crap, let me try to get the refill or whatever. So, but it still takes a couple of days for everything to push through. So I'm like, cool, 2 weeks I should be clear. 2 weeks come and go. I get another letter, and I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, what is this? It's from the IRS. Yes, it's from the IRS, and I'm like,
Oh
oh shit,
no.
oh shit. And then I ended up getting another letter. I can't remember where that was from, but Department of Education. I got another letter. And then it just started spiraling out of control to like all of the agencies that actually needed this information started sending me letters sympathizing about my death, and basically just saying that, okay, this program, or from whatever benefits, this is getting cut off, from whatever is going on, this is getting cut off. And it just started spiraling, and I was like, holy crap, this is like a real problem right now. Like, this is really bad. So now I started scrambling to find solutions. I started reaching out to the VA, and they're like, okay, well, we were able to do this, but it's going to take some time before this happens. And then I was like, okay, so what about this? And then there was a lot of back and forth patterns that it just turned into nobody knew what to do. And now I was officially dead. I was officially dead. So every single agency declared me dead. So yeah, and it was like the wildest thing. And I still had a sense of like humor to it. Like, I'm telling my buddies, and they're like, "Yo, this is crazy, whatever." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm freaking dead." And they were like, "Yo, rob a bank. This is perfect." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is great. This is funny." All the way until like it really, really hit me, and that came and went when I started getting sick. So the medication that was supposed to be mailed to me didn't get mailed to me because I'm dead.
Oh shit.
So I'm like, crap. So I go to the VA, and I'm like, yo, I'm getting sick. This is what's going on. And they're like, give me your ID. And they're like, you're not in our system. It shows here that you're deceased. And I'm like, dude, this is me. And, now I'm arguing with these people. The VA police are getting involved. This is turning into a real deal thing, because I'm like, yo, I'm getting sick. Like, I can die from this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like the doctor that I normally see, he was just like passing by, and he was like, what's up, Carmelo? And I'm like, oh, this is what's going on. And he's like, he's my patient. He's my patient.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, holy crap. So that time, that night, I ended up getting home, and I was like, yo, let me just go run to the store real quick, grab something. And I went to use my debit card. Declined.
Oh
Credit card.
no.
Credit card. Declined. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm calling my banks, and I'm like, I know I got money. I just got paid. And they're like, you're gonna have to come down to the office because it shows here that you're dead.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it spiraled out of control in that form. So now I'm like, holy crap, like, this is getting really, really, really bad. And then from there, I ended up going through, I was reaching out to attorneys left and right, and nothing. I think I reached out to it took me 2 years to clear this all up. And I think in that time frame, I think I reached out to maybe 100 or 150 attorneys. And it was like, I got like so much sympathy, like, wow, this is crazy. We've never heard of this. But because of who you're going up against, and because the battle that you're up against, we can't help you, because you're not going against one person, two people, you're going against like multiple agencies
Yeah.
because of the same thing. And I was like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
So I'm still in school at the time. And then it was time to go through the grants and all of that stuff, because I'm in my MBA program. That didn't go through.
Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah. And then it ended up I ended up talking to my they gave you a mentor. And I'm like having this nervous breakdown because I'm like, dude, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. Like, this is turning into a real deal situation. And she was like, have you reached out to the media? And I was like, no. I was like, I've been vlogging and I've been like posting it for vets because just to kind of get some kind of feedback to see if anybody has actually gone through this, and it
Mm-hmm.
was almost like, hey, has anybody gone through this? Reach out to me so we could try to figure this out or whatever. And she was like, no, the media, big time media. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no. And she was like, cool. We sat down, we made it happen. Big time media reached out. Next thing you know, boom, I'm on national news.
Nice.
And this is literally all over the place. Once that happened, what was it? The Dr. Phil show reached out to me. Steve Wilkos, they was like, "Hey, let's do a blood test on TV to, let's do fingerprints and try to make it a thing." And I'm like, dude, honestly, if it gets this done, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah.
And because of the job that I was in at the time, they were like, "No, you want your career? No." And I was like, okay, I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna step back. You know. So it was a large process, but while that was going on, I was also going through uh, child support issues
Oh,
because now that's an
geez.
issue. Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. And then like my ex-wife reached out to me, the horns. Anyway, and she's like, "Hey, this sounds like fraud. I'm not gonna be with you on this. I'm ratting you out." And I was like, like, dude, I we don't talk. I don't know you.
Yeah.
Why are you
Exactly.
reaching out to me?
Yeah. Like you should be
Yeah.
happy that I'm dead or something like that.
I'm like,
Damn.
go away. Yeah, and it was wild. So that ended up happening. And then I got I literally got, and to this day I every single interview that I do, hey, to the attorney that reached out to me suddenly, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I have no idea who this person was. Reached out to me, didn't give me any identification, didn't give me anything except actual steps that worked. And was like, I can't help you do this, but if you do this, this might happen. I can't help you with this, but if you do this, this might happen. And it was literally the trickling effect that got it taken care of, you know?
Nice.
And then he sat down as he was breaking it down to me. He was like, okay, in the career that you're in, if this were to happen to somebody, how would you look at it? I'm like, oh, that's plain and simple. That's what that is. And then he's like, okay, so that's what that is. You're in that situation. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then he's like, okay, if this was to happen, what is this? And I'm like, oh, well, that's that. And then he was like, you're in that situation. So he's breaking it down to me Barney style because my emotions are all over the place. Everybody's
Yeah.
telling me they can't help me. So he's literally like, this is how you should do it. And I'm like, can I reach out to? He's like, don't ever. You're not gonna make contact with me. I'm not gonna make contact with you. I seen you. You need help. This is the information. And I'm like, okay.
It was like a unanimous lawyer, basically.
It was the wildest. Like, I don't know.
You still don't know who that person is.
I have no idea. I have no idea. Cool. So I started filing tort claims. I started suing everybody. So now I'm like,
Yep.
here, I'm Oprah. You get one, and you get one, and you get one, and you get one. I was suing for the wildest, you name it. And then I started getting responses like this because now
Mm-hmm.
people are like, holy crap, now he's a priority. Now this is to the top of the list now
Yeah, because
because
now you're going
he's
after their money. So now
yeah,
they're like,
because
oh
now
crap.
what I was claiming was up here, They're pulling
Yeah.
my medicine, they're taking all my benefits. If I die, I'm already dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was wild. So, I made it happen. And then, throughout out of the 2 years, it took me 2 years to clear it up. I made a documentary series out of it. And, I wrote the book. I wrote Dead Soldier, Story of the Living. And I wrote it and I was like, holy crap, this is finally complete. Let me push this out and see what happens. And it exploded. And the feedback was amazing. People loved it. And the one thing that I kept getting more than anything else was, how isn't this not a movie? We've seen the documentaries. We're actually seeing in depth what you actually went through, whatever you didn't put on film. How isn't this not a movie? And I'm like, because I just wanted to get this. I just wanted to get this fixed. I didn't care about anything outside of that. I just wanted my life back. So now I started looking at it like, if I can help this amount of veterans with whatever I did, what happens if I go big time? How many veterans would I be able to help? So I'm like, all right, let's give it a go. So I wrote the script and I pushed it out to the universe. And lo and behold, it got picked up. So now what was once a major problem in my life, something that, literally brought up nightmares from PTSD and, whatever it was that did come around, a lot of emotional roller coasters, a lot of just like, a lot of the stuff that I was going through, like people would commit suicide off of. This is literally stuff that's end of people's life kind of situations. No financial support. Family up against you. You know what I mean? Like, job up your ass. There was a lot of moments that it was just like, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap, and nobody understood. Nobody. And I felt like I was going through this alone. I put in pieces of, Diana, I call her Diana, that she would, she was training a lot of the time. So even with the little bit of support that I did have from her, I was still alone. I was still doing this alone, so it was a really emotional roller coaster on top of, physically, it took over my world. It took over my life. And it was a rough journey. And I wanted to make sure that in the story, in the book, I put everything into it. I put my heart into that. And because I did it in that way, I guess that's how it blossomed so big and, became such a thing. And now, till this day, we have started filming, and I'm actually going to New Orleans in 2 weeks to continue to film so we can get this trailer up and I guess get this thing moving. I was initially told that I was gonna come in as a consultant, but after sitting down and discussing it with everybody, they want me as the lead role in in my story. So I went from this to now I'm here just because I just kept fighting. I never took no for an answer. I literally never took no for an answer because what was I going to lose? I was back against the wall. Back against the wall. I was, education, I was losing it. Career, I was losing it. My livelihood, I was losing it. My I don't know. I was going through the child support issues. I could have ended up in jail. I could have been pulled over, like you said. I could have been pulled over. And what is the cop gonna do when you do not have identity?
Yeah.
What is more than anything? What is a law enforcement officer going to do to you if you are carrying credentials to somebody that's deceased?
Yeah, they're gonna do their job.
So, and this is how I would look at it. So on our records, you're deceased, and you're carrying a weapon and you're carrying credentials, so you're impersonating a police officer.
Yeah, it's true, man. So I have a question too.
Yeah.
So when everything started, I guess turning around, did it all kind of just happen in one go? Like every agency kind of just started buckling down, or was it like one by one? Was it like all in like a week, or was it like within like a month's time frame, or how did that whole thing unfold to where like they're like, oh, okay, hey, well maybe you're not dead. Like, okay, cool. Like,
Yeah. So when it initially started spiraling that now I was dead, that happened fast. But to reverse it, that took time. And that's why I said it took a whole 2 years to get it, pulled out or get it cleared up. You know, when I was initially declared dead, it was like every 2 weeks, another agency, or every week, or every 10 days, however you want to put it. It was like boom, 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 boom. And then to remove that and to fix that, it was like this might happen within 3 to 6 months. It might happen. I don't know. And I mean, like, I'm literally going to these offices with all of my paperwork, with all of my information, and talking to these, representatives, supervisors, managers, and all of them are like, I don't know. I don't know. And it's
yeah.
just like, how does it get this far? How did it get that far?
Yeah, like I almost want to see like how did that even happen? Like how did someone just go deceased? Like I would really like to see behind the scenes on how that happened because you were already out of the military. So like
Yeah.
like that had to be I don't know if it was an error or maybe someone hit the wrong button on a computer or something because that doesn't happen by accident, like someone just doesn't go,
Yeah.
oh, boop, they're dead, so it's like I almost would like to just get a glimpse of how that even happened because it's just, yeah, man,
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious as well, but at the same time, I'm just thankful, you know, and I'm thankful because it got fixed. It
yeah,
took a while, and it literally it showed. I spent time in the military. I did whatever I did, growing up, but the inner fighter literally had to come out to get this done. And this was, way beyond physical. This was a mental battle.
yeah,
This was stress on top of stress on top of stress. And like I said, people commit suicide for this kind of things. And I'm over here just getting up every day and just like one more day, all the way until like the stress was just piling up. And then it was just like one more hour, you know? And
yeah,
then, one outlet that I had was the journal. I was journaling. And that's how the journal ended up turning into a book because I was journaling and I was trying to express how I was feeling throughout that time because I was getting a lot of nothingness and I was reaching out daily and I did so much research. I could have been a professor in this world of, you know, conspiracy. I don't even know because that's
yeah,
where
like
that's where everything was leading.
yeah, and you actually started going into a question I was going to ask you, and you like damn near answered it because I was going to ask you like when it got so tough, like like when it literally was like enough, like what kind of what kept you going? Like that one, like there was the journal, but like in the mental battle, like yeah, the physical form of writing and stuff, but I know that all that takes a heavy toll. So
Yeah.
like mentally and subconsciously, like what was that resilience you had just to like get back up? Because it's like how we were talking earlier, like before we went live on here, it's like the difference between a champion and a runner up is the champion gets back up. So like
Hmm.
what was the getting back up? Because like you said, you were by yourself, so like you got punched in the mouth daily, stayed getting knocked down. So what was the get back up, like when it could have been just so easy, just like, I'm just gonna lay here for a little bit and I'm just gonna just be here. So what was that thing that kind of said, you know what? Nope. and get back up, almost like Rocky Balboa, just keeps getting back up and that iron chin. So what was that? How did that? What's that process like?
I, you know, I need answers. I'm a very curious person. So it was way beyond, oh, you have a family and oh, you still have this going on for you. Because like I said, I was at the bottom. So that wasn't even a thought. I mean, at that time, the battles that I was going through, it was like, man, I'm gonna lose I'm gonna lose my son because of this. So that
Mhm.
was it wasn't an idea of, whoa, you have a kid. No, I'm gonna lose my kid. That's where I was at. I'm about to lose my kid. I'm about to end up in jail. I'm about to, lose my education. I'm about to lose my career. How am I gonna figure this out? I was literally at a bottom. But the only thing that kept me going was my sense of curiosity, because and that's why I kept doing the research, because I was like, man, if I'm going through this, how many others are out there? How many other veterans have gone through this? How many, situations have they gone through? And it was just my sense of curiosity that was like waking me up at 2 or 3 in the morning just so I can do an hour or two of research, or keeping me up for 24 hours at a time, because I needed to figure out the solution. So everybody has their own little ideas of what kept them motivated, what kept them going. And mine was just my sense of curiosity, because I needed to know why, and I needed to figure out the solution.
Right. And that's what I tell people too, like especially with the people that I coach, either on transformation or happiness or life purpose or goal setting. It's like your mind is powerful. Like people don't understand. Like when they say knowledge is power, it really, really is. And
Hmm.
like and curiosity, and like how you say it's like a trapeze, because it's a very fine line, because it can either shoot you in the foot or it can help you get where you need to go, but you have to be able to keep that balance. And for you, it was like you had to, that curiosity is what got you back up. It was like curiosity was like you, and answers was like, here, nope, Carmelo, get back up, let's go, you need answers. And then every
Yep.
time it was just like boom, clow to the mouth. Oh no, no, hey, get back up, let's go, come on. It's like you having that NCO when you're struggling in a road march, or you're kind of just you're deployed and you're slacking and you're sucking and it's a long fight, and they're like, no, keep going, come on, keep pushing, we're not done yet.
Hmm.
And it's like that little every time. And
Yeah.
that's what it's like. And it's,
Yeah.
bless your curiosity for answers, because if it wasn't like
Yeah.
you could have easily like legit died and you were already dead. So it would have just been like, oh, well, he died anyway. So, just change the dates, update the date from 2013 to 2017, like just change the
Yeah.
date. It's fine.
Yeah. Quick error. We'll just adjust, and that's it. He's gone
So
anyway.
like, so with the money they sent you, did you have to send that back? I assume, right? Because it's for death benefits and stuff, and you had to give that back, right?
I never cashed them.
Yeah, I was
I
smart because
I
I wouldn't have
Yeah,
either.
yeah, yeah. I what I did was I kept them on file, just because,
Yeah,
if
sure.
this was already an issue, now I have, my own official documents that says this is what happened. So obviously I wrote void on it to make sure that nobody else, whoever finds
Mm-hmm.
it, if they find it, it's locked up. But nobody will be able to use it. But
Nice.
I kept all of my files in a secure document, or a secure folder, to make sure that, I keep that, because
Yeah,
you
and
never
that's
know.
that's another form of discipline too, because like, you know, if and then that's along with the military discipline, because you're dead. It's like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna cash these checks. Like I'm about to cash these checks, and I'm about to go to Vegas, and it's about to be on. Like, like let's go, and then let's go buy stuff, and it's like, the, you got to think that's what most average people would do. It was like, oh well, I'm fucking dead anyway, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but what they don't see the flip side of is once you're back alive, they're like, hey, so about that check, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that whole thing that went on.
It was wild. It was rough, but I got through it. I went through it. I battled that every day until I won, and I didn't take no for an answer. And that was literally, that's what led me till today. I refuse to take no for an answer. And when I was reaching out to people like, hey, I'm trying to get this story out, I'm trying to make this happen, and people were looking at me like I was a scammer or some kind of con artist at one point. And I'm like, look, these are the official documents, God damn it. And then it was like, oh crap. Wow, this is a thing? Wow, how is this a
Yeah.
thing? And I'm like, I don't need your help. Go away.
Yeah.
And then, all the way, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to put the documents in the book. I put the documents in the book so
That's
people can,
legit.
so people can literally like, and this is the stuff that I got from people that gave me the reviews. They were like, yo, I was walking in your shoes. The way that you wrote the book, I felt like I was literally in your shoes going through this. And then, just to spice it up or whatever, I left every single chapter on a cliffhanger to make sure that people read the book,
Nice.
So
That's
I
smart, man.
literally, I captivated people's days. I had a buddy of mine. He was like, dude, like, I just picked it up just to, read it for some, on the toilet or whatever. He was like, dude, I can't feel my legs. You literally took my day away from me. Like, thanks. And it was great to hear the reviews, for everything. And then, to get the feedback was amazing, so yeah.
That's what's up. So like when you did the book, did you kind of just you went through a company to publish it, or did you kind of just put it yourself and you were like, here, but you did it alone, or like, because I know publishing a book is not cheap. So it's like it just depending on what organization you go through.
Yeah. So um I self-published, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I wanted to self-publish. So it took me, I want to say, I spent like 8 grand trying to figure out the whole process, because there was a lot of do's and a lot of don'ts, and they were like, oh, classes, and I was like, yeah, let me take the class, and it was like, here's $200, but you have to do this, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm not doing that, so there was a lot of back and forth. And I YouTubed a lot of everything. I think that was YouTube was my go-to for everything, all the way until I started figuring it out. So the book cost me about 8 grand to complete from beginning to end, and it's a self-published book. And I put it out on Amazon first, and then it took off, and then Barnes and Nobles picked it up. The manager at Barnes and Nobles, he's a combat vet, and I approached him with my sales sheet, and I was like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I got going on. And he read the book, and he was like, I want, how many copies do you have? I need it in my store right now. And then so from there it turned into author signing, and that kind of took its own form. And then I did the same thing on the military bases, and that was taking its own form. And I was supposed to
Yeah.
do a book tour amongst all of the military bases, and then Corona said hello
Yeah.
and shut it all down.
As it did to everyone, man.
Yeah. So I mean, the book tour is now, we're working on getting it up and going right now, but the film is definitely still moving.
Nice. I'm excited to see that. I'm gonna pick up the book, man. I'll go ahead and check it out and get it because I can imagine, because I know that there's certain things like, yeah, you're saying it here, but like everyone knows when there's a book and a movie, there's more stuff in a book, because you can't make a movie like 5 hours long because people will legit lose interest and no one can really sit there for 5 hours because they got things to do. So like
Yeah.
usually books are way more in depth and detail, even with popular movies like John Wick and stuff like that, where the books are way more in depth. So like, I want to check that one out.
I want to give you the heads up in advance. It's going to take a day or two away from you, because you're not going to be able to put it down. I promise you.
Okay, note to self: read it when I don't work, and probably on a weekend.
Yeah, think about your favorite Netflix series, and that's what the book is gonna do to you. Like you're gonna be like, just one more
Nice.
episode, just one more episode. Like let me
Yeah,
just get
damn, I
one
hate
more
when that
chapter.
happens.
Yeah, yeah.
We did that like about a month ago. My fiance and I, we were watching what was the show? It was dang it, it was Upload. It was a while ago it came out, and we watched one, and the next thing you know, it's like 4 a.m, and we're like, oh geez, we didn't watch the whole dang season, you know. So it's like, oh crap, like we're like, where the hell is season 2 at? You know, like what the hell? So no, I definitely know that feeling, because once you kind of get hooked, you know, you feel it, and that's kind of how like I am with certain things too, like especially like when I play like the first person shooters. I don't like playing the multiplayer. I like playing the campaign, the story, because I judge it by how can I get in that mode? Can I get sucked in there where I feel like I'm there? Or even like a good storyline game. I really like those, to where it's like, but nothing that takes forever, but just like a really good fast-paced story, you know, and that's what it seems like yours is.
Yeah.
And just to get pulled into it. And that's you know, you want your readers to feel, and that's what I talked about in one of my public speaking classes when I had to do something like that. It was getting your readers and your audience to feel what you're feeling. Like you want them to actually feel like they're there, and like how you had
Hmm.
your buddy do that. And I think that's pretty good, which shows like that's I can't wait to read the book. It's
Yeah.
gonna be good, man. I'm gonna check it out and read it, and then I'm gonna probably write you on Instagram and be like, dude, what the hell? Like, you know, be like, what, are you serious? Like every chapter, like something like, dude, seriously? Like chapter 4, what the hell, man? Like,
I mean, like that's what, because right now the book ended up taking off in the veteran community out here where I'm at, and it spiraled into, now I'm doing a bunch of like book clubs, and they just want me, they want me to come, and I don't know if you ever been in a book club, but they read a little, they talk about it or whatever. No, this was literally like, just the vets in there. It was like, what the heck, man? And the coordinator was like, we've never had this big of a crowd. So whatever you got going on, whatever story this is, like, we need to get this out because the vets, they want it.
yeah,
They're there, they feel it. I have veterans like, holy crap, like just really, it really took a part of their life. And it was like, man, I went through something like this, and it brought back memories, or it brought back feelings, or just the anger and the emotion. And you know it was great. The atmosphere, amazing. So that's
yeah,
what I.
and that yeah, and that shows the testament of a good book too. Like if you can put your own feelings into it, like, and you're like, okay, I didn't go through that, but damn it, I went through something similar, you know,
Yeah,
same road, like just the same direction, but you're over here and I'm over here, but we're riding the same path though. Like that's legit, man. That, and you know, that you had that big of a turnout.
yeah. It's been wild. It's been a wild journey. I love it. I do.
Sweet, man. That's super awesome. So like as we start to like wrap it up here, and I know you got work too. What's like a, and you know, people who watch always know that I always do like a closing, you know, because I like to always end stuff on a good note, because that's just kind of, that's how I roll. And so if you got like anything closing for vets watching, you know, you can use your story, but like, what is something for them that are listening, that if you had one piece of advice to tell them,
Mhm.
and if they didn't hear anything else, and if they were kind of just like watching but not listening, and it's like, hey, pay attention right
Yeah.
now, I'm about to speak, you know, well, what is it?
All right. So the first one, and this is one that in my profession, I really do take this seriously. Is um I understand that a lot of vets have PTSD, and they have gone through any kind of trauma at war, wartime trauma, PTSD from all of that stuff, and a lot of them preach, oh, well, civilians, they don't understand. Civilians will never get it. But if you really do break down the scenario of what has happened, right? You had somebody shoot at you and you got injured. It happens on the streets every day. So a civilian might understand why, because they're not in uniform. You know, um, there was an explosion. You know, accidents happen over here all the time. You know what I mean? They have PTSD too. So I would say, you know, just because, you know, you don't have a veteran brother here or there does not mean that you don't have that support, because there are many civilians that actually go through trauma and go through their own PTSD situations that you can literally connect and bond with. So the whole idea of just, you know, civilians don't understand this or that or this or that, that's bogus. That's bogus. You know, people go through some crazy stuff all the time. So, you know, make a friend. I promise you the stories, you know, they may not be, you know, service related, service connected, but I bet you the stories will bring you guys together. You know?
That's
That's
that's legit, man.
yeah. So that's one. Another thing that I would say is, you know, towards your dreams, you know, never take no for an answer. You know, that just means that, you know, either you're ahead, or you're not ready yet, or you're confused, or that wasn't the right path. You know, never take no. You know, I mean, like it took me this long in order for me to get to where I'm at today. And that was because I refused. Like, I was like, I'm looking at the door, trying to get through that door. And I kept getting the no. And then forget the door. I'm going to climb through the window. Oh, you don't have a window? I'm going to climb through the mouse hole. I don't care. I'm going to get it. I'm going to figure it out. And once I get through, now you're going to see.
Yeah.
You're going to see me, you know? And because I worked so hard to get that far, you're going to see the best side of me, because I bust my hump to get there. It wasn't just given to me. I didn't just walk through the door. And then when they asked, I wasn't experienced enough, because I've adjusted all the ways in order to get there. So I have this experience and this one and this one and this one, because I was told no and no and no and no and no and no and no. So now I know all the ways that I shouldn't do it. And then I created my own way that I could.
Nice.
So never take no for an answer.
That's what's up. That's like, dude, that's like totally perfect. And for those, and I like how you talked about the civilian versus military, because I say that as well, where you can't compare trauma. You can't. Everyone has a different level of trauma, and yours is not. You can't say yours is worse because you don't know the psychological effects it took on the other person. Where it may not seem as bad to you, is, you know, for them it was a hellstorm, and maybe someone like who went through worse than you is going to look at you and be like, dude, yours is nothing. So no one has the right to place judgment on anybody's trauma, you know, like that's just that like hits the nail on the head right there. And like I was telling one of my old soldiers called me, and he was a ranger and stuff like that, and he was kind of like venting a little bit about someone who was a part of, there was a mortar explosion when he was deployed a while ago, and the person said they had PTSD and things, but they were far away. And I'm like, dude, I was like, you can't judge that person, because how do you know if that's their first deployment? What if that's their sixth or seventh? And maybe they were, how do you know they weren't EOD in a bomb suit and got blown up and thrown 300 feet and they lived? So now just the sound of a boom freaking makes them go, you know, you don't know that person. So like, you can't say that about that person. You're only judging them off of what you see, but you don't know that person intimately and personally to do that. So when you flip it to the civilian side, you can share your story where they may not understand, but they can sympathize with you, and and then you can always relate stories and build that bridge, like you said. So I think like just the way you harped on that, and I think it's good. I think that's what we need right now is a lot of veterans always say, oh, well, they don't understand. Well, you're right, they don't, but why not give someone an opportunity to understand in their own way?
Very true. Very,
You
very.
know, because I'm not gonna expect you to understand my traumas and experiences I went through and be like, no, Carmelo, you're gonna get it my way because this is what it is. You're gonna process it your own way, and you're gonna understand it your own way. So like, I'll afford you that opportunity to understand, but I'm not going to sit there and say, no, you don't get it. No, it was like, okay, well, maybe you're just not getting what I'm saying, but you'll get it in your own way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, and there's the small few that do understand and they'll get it and they can apply that and relate to it. And says it's like a balancing beam. It's being patient and just like you said, find a friend. Like there's, especially now with the way things are, you can literally have a social networking person that you don't have to ever meet, and you can talk and just build a connection. That's what all the veterans groups are for, and support groups and things like that. So
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
that's perfect, man. So I do appreciate you for coming on, sharing your story. I'm excited to read your book, and then definitely give me the heads up when that movie's done. I know those things take a while to produce and things, and they got to go through the filming and then the editing and then whatever else happens.
Yeah.
I always say I want to be in a movie one day because I'd like to just be in one just so I can be on a film. So maybe that'll happen sometime. I tell my fiance, I was like, it'd be cool to be in a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie or a military movie. Just one. I was like, I don't need to be in like 5, just one. I don't even need to be a lead actor. Just make me like a supporting actor or something. I just want to be, like I can win best supporting actor or something like that. Like.
Well,
So,
you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Have you ever written a book?
No, and I've been slacking because people have been telling me to write one. My fiance tells me to write one. Her mom tells me to write one. Her sister told me to write one. Former NFL player Reggie Grant told me to write one. Major League Baseball player Arnie Costello told me to write one, and I'm like, like.
Check it out, right? So, I've told you I've written 6 books, and my last book is literally called "Just Write the Book," right? And I put into detail all of the stories that I went through, all of the whole path, the whole journey. I really didn't leave anything out. I go into detail about, the financial issue, the structure, and I put all the comedy in there because there's so much that's involved. You pulling your hair, you're with the writer's block, you just not knowing, you just stop. I put everything in there, but I also put all the steps to get it done. You know what I mean? And it's to encourage you to write your story because there once it's there, you'll live forever.
Yeah, true that.
Your story will continue to move on throughout generations.
Yeah, for sure. I got to. Been slacking. And then my fiance just wrote here in the comments, just write the book, Eric.
Just
But there's 2 against 1 over here. But yeah, man, I will. I've been slacking. I just got to try to get my bearings. Everyone's got their own personal things they're going through, and it's just right now I'm recalibrating my compass. It's almost there. I gotta get my GPS online, and it's online now. It's just going on the travels and get in that direction. But I appreciate you, man, for coming on. Like the story is legit. I'll share this all across, and if you guys want to find him, you can find him on IMDb, and you can check the description. You got his link there. He's also has his own coaching and speaking website that he does, so you can check that one out. He's got an Instagram. All that stuff's in the description. So Carmelo, man, thanks for coming on, dude. I appreciate you taking the time to share the story. Like I always say, it's easier to share your story the more you share it. So then that's the message for the vets for me. So you got Carmelo's message, then you got mine. The more you share your story with people, the easier it is, and the easier your life will become because you're sharing it. And now those things that you couldn't talk about, you slowly are able to talk about. So that's all I got. That's all I got for you people. Thanks for tuning in, Carmelo. Thanks for hanging out with me, man. And I hope everyone has a good day. And stay tuned for next week because I believe I have a CEO of some nonprofit coming on next week. I got to check my calendar. So that'll be a good resource for veterans who need assistance and help. And she has a pretty interesting background. So stay tuned for that one, everybody, and have a good day.
Peace.